goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creators, where we sit down, often with a special guest, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so that you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. Hi, I'm Simon.
And I'm Greg.
Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking shop with others in the wedding industry. This episode is sponsored by With Jack, but I'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Greg, one of three podcasts today, but I'm most looking forward to this one. Who are we talking to this morning?
We are talking to Stephanie Dreams Photography. Hello, Stephanie. How are you doing?
Hello, Stephanie.
Hi. Are you going to say that to every person? You're most excited to talk to that person?
No, absolutely not. Actually, the only reason I said that is because we're going to be a guest. In the middle of the day, we're going to be a guest. We're going to be in your position on another podcast, and I'm very nervous about it. But, yeah, how you been? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, I'm good. I am great. Wedding season definitely hasn't kicked off yet, so I'm still just kind of lazing about and not doing a lot, which I love.
Yeah, nice.
Sounds good.
And for all of those who are watching on our YouTubes, they might be like, where is she? What is this place that she's in?
I am in a van. I live in my van, my camper van, full time. So, hence the awful light, but I have tried. And, yeah, the weird background. I live in my van, with two dogs and my partner. So, yay for small spaces.
Yeah. I know April's in the van with you. I wish we could spin the camera around just to see her push to the back of the van.
Absolutely not.
So how long have you been van lifing? How long's that been? How do you find it?
So since it's going to be 2 years in April.
Oh wow!
And I like it. I love parts of it. I hate parts of it. I love that I don't have to kind of do the norm, feel like I have to buy a house, pay someone's rent, like all that kind of capitalism crap. But also I just like so much of it and sometimes would really like a house. But I think this year will be the last year in this van. If we carry on van life somewhere else or like small house living somewhere else, but to be confirmed.
Yeah.
But yeah. Love and hate. It's not for the weak.
Yes. Yeah, I remember going, it was the NZ 500 around Scotland very quickly, my wife and I, and our heater just broke in Glencoe during winter a couple of years ago, and it was a painful experience. So I love the idea of having a van and stuff, but I think I realized it's not for me. I'm too much of a wimp.
And that's totally okay. That is okay.
Yeah, it's not for everything.
I will admit, though, it does look cool. Having that sense of freedom must be quite nice.
Absolutely. I love it. I love that part of it. I think the big part of me is I don't know where I'd ever base myself or want to be located. And my kind of weddings also reflect that because we have weddings all over the place. So it kind of works really well for what we do at the moment. So yeah, I'm not going to change anytime soon, but
yeah,
we'll see. End of this year, ask me again.
You must save a stack of money as well. Like when a couple book, you're like, right, okay, now I got to go on Airbnb and are there any places to stay? Oh shit, everywhere is like hundreds of pounds a night. That must be quite nice, not having to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely got his perks with traveling generally. So, yeah, I don't mind it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So tell us a bit more about yourself and like how you got into wedding photography as well.
Yeah, of course. So, myself, I've just turned 37 and that just is weird. I think I'm still like 19 in my head somewhere. I have been a wedding photographer for about 10 years, but I mean properly the last 4 years. I started because, would you believe, I used to be a fashion blogger, and that's what got me into kind of cameras, got my first DSLR and kind of played around with cameras like that. So no official training here, but that kind of got me into cameras and learnt about them, and slowly did some weddings that I can only imagine awful looking back on now. But that's where I started. But I've been full time since 2021. So I feel like that really kind of kicked my ass into actually kind of being a business, being a professional.
What does being in the wedding industry, but not properly being a wedding photographer, what did that mean to you there?
I think when I had, and this, like, people with other jobs, I don't even know how you do it, but great. So this isn't like negative towards that. But for me, having like another job just meant that it was just kind of, okay, I was earning money from it. Okay, I had clients, but at the same time, it just didn't feel like proper. It didn't feel like I was an actual business person, or like all those things really. I think I probably still feel like I'm not a very good business person now. And, that still kind of comes across a lot. But, at the same time, I think just having that other job, it just meant, okay, like I want to do this, but I can't do it right now. And when that actually happened, it was like, okay, we got to do this properly, or we're not going to be able to do it at all.
Yeah. So it was that going full time that was the turning point. What prompted you to take the jump and go full time?
So I'd been I was a vet nurse, so kind of completely different.
Oh, wow.
And I'd started kind of putting my hours down, and then COVID hit. So I was, very glad that I still had that job, but also, it kind of meant I had to stay even longer. So I was kind of there, and kind of when in 2021, when the kind of first lot really was improving, if you like, my practice was just like, we kind of want to get rid of people. And I was like, I kind of want to go. So it's a now or never thing. And I think it's the best thing I've obviously done. But very scary at the time, but, yeah. I'm very happy now. I couldn't imagine working for anyone now and not being in like editing or with amazing couples at the weekend. So
yeah, and I suppose, I mean, I think you describe yourself as a spaniel mom. Is that right? So you've still got that love for animals. Like, it's not like you've just left all the animals behind.
Yeah, two idiot spaniels. I mean that in the best way. If you know a spaniel, then you'll absolutely know what I mean. But
yes, they are quite mental. So I found you and your work. I think I've known about you actually for a little bit of time, but I came across you again, like Bigly style on TikTok. You seem to be a TikTok master. How's that going?
I don't think I'm a master. I think I have got bookings through TikTok, so I'm very thankful that it's obviously doing something. But a master is probably not the word I would use. It's probably not the word that April would use when they're trying to help me.
What would April say? I'm intrigued.
I think Steph does a great job, and I think the videos that we use and the photos that we use, I think, are great. But Steph has this, I don't know if you'll know what it is, but when she starts a video, she really does a millennial pause. Do you know what a millennial pause is?
I do not know what this is. No,
I don't either.
Millennial pause.
So neither did I. But apparently when you're with people younger than you, like, that is something that they very much pick up on. But yeah, it's kind of
just not really. It's like you're pretending that you don't know the camera started, and it's just like a little bit of awkward time before actually starting anything.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Basically,
okay.
just awkward. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard
Okay.
that, but yeah.
We did. We did. Okay. So you're just awkward. You know, to be fair,
I mean, yeah, we can absolutely. I'm the most awkward person, so you can absolutely say that.
I mean, I just think, I remember being cruel to my parents and calling them uncool and stuff. And now I am their age. I can see both worlds. But the younger generations, don't be too cocky. It's going to come for you as well. You're going to be uncool. You're going to have your little pause thing. And by the way, those little flares that you're wearing, we wore them first.
Right? Exactly. And then people before us too.
Yeah.
Exactly. It all comes around. Anyway. So, yes, you are very much a photographer who focuses on supporting the LGBTQ plus and like feminism is a big part of your photography. So what made you focus on that in terms of like business?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm very, I kind of cater towards LGBTQ plus people, and everything I do, I think I have minority communities in mind. I think really it came from myself coming out. I came out at 31, so pretty late in life compared to other people. So I think that really was my light bulb moment in terms of how cis, white, het, skinny the wedding industry is, and kind of queer love is my love. So just kind of being more like catering for that and being open to what that means was just something I wanted to do straight away because it's something that I love. And I think also just coming into it as a late life queer person, it really just, opened my eyes and also just like, I love it. Like, I think it's so special, so wonderful. And I just wanted and I still want very much for the wedding industry to kind of do better, do more, and to be able to see that within the wedding industry because it's just not something that we see a lot.
Yeah. That's so 31 years old. You were still a photographer at that point. So what was was there a drastic change in your style or even your direction that you wanted to go, or did that come a little bit later?
So I don't think straight away. Okay. I think it also came with me kind of going full time as well. Even though it wasn't straight away, it was a few years later. So I think it kind of came with all those things. Okay. I think just at that time, I was more aware of, I don't know, the wider wedding industry, maybe. I wasn't in my little local photography kind of box. I was looking, I was doing Instagram more. I was seeing more photographers. I was seeing the wedding industry more, I guess. Yeah. So I think that kind of also played a part in it. And I remember following Jess Rose. I don't know if you follow her, but she's a wonderful photographer. She was very much kind of LGBTQ plus focused at the time and still is a great photographer in that aspect now. But I remember saying to like a photographer friend, I was like, I just want to be like Jess. Like I want to get the clients that Jess gets. I want to be able to kind of be seen and known like Jess is. So I think that was kind of a big thing as well. And it definitely it wasn't a kind of clicking, oh my gosh, my business is going to be completely focused to queer people. Yeah. It wasn't like, I'm going to get all the queers money. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, this is authentically me. Yeah. So that's what I have kind of shown. And like I say, I think seeing so little LGBTQ plus love in the wedding industry, then just made me want to kind of showcase more shoots and kind of open myself up to make sure I was inclusive enough that LGBTQ plus people and lovers saw me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, to back all that up, you've also started your own podcast as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know you mentioned when we got you on that it's on a bit of a long break just now, but what was the purpose for that podcast, and why did you start that?
Yeah, so me and my two like business besties, if you will, Steph and Owls, have the Love for All podcast. It is on a long sabbatical right now, but hopefully it will be back. But again, it was just because we talk about this so much, like in just our private life, I guess, just what we think of the industry, how we think the industry can do better, and just giving a voice, although probably not a very big one with our podcast, but still a voice to other kind of LGBTQ folk or people that have different experiences that aren't those straight cis kind of knowledge. It's more than that. So kind of, yeah, just giving them a voice and chatting to people. So that's really where it's come from. And we just all love talking about like gay stuff, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got some amazing conversation topics here. Navigating non-binary nuptials, love is not love. I'm intrigued by that one. A vintage element.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So there's that kind of big phrase, love is love, which is quite often attached to the LGBTQ plus community. So what's the love is not love thing? Or should I just go and listen to your bloody podcast? Maybe I should.
I mean, please.
I will.
Please absolutely do that.
I will.
But in short, I think people, that phrase, number one, came about when same-sex marriage was legalized to make same-sex marriages more palatable for straight people.
Right.
That's why it came about. So it's come from like not a true inclusive space, if you will.
Yeah.
And we now see it. Obviously, now we see it. I completely appreciate people share it, say it, hashtag it. I don't know, anything where you see it. That is from a place where people obviously mean well, but at the same time, I think it's kind of just a flippant comment in terms of like, are you inclusive, or do you mind if we're an LGBTQ plus couple? People will be like, love is love. And it's like, It's not. At this moment in time, love is absolutely not love. LGBTQ plus people aren't like, we haven't got like human rights. We haven't got the same rights as straight people. So it simply is not. And I think just saying it as a backhanded comment, although meant well, we completely see like people mean well by it. It kind of just then is like, well, you're not going to do the work, are you? You're just like, love is love. That's fine. And kind of get on with your day.
Yeah. It's that whole meaning well thing that's really quite interesting. It's like the people who say all lives matter or I don't see color. It's like, no.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier about you're not just here taking the queers' money. Is that something that you see in the industry, that people are just sort of trying to capitalize on, try and get money from that group of people or stuff like that? Is that something that happens?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think realistically we can all see it. I'm sure you can like see it, but it's maybe just not as like obvious, or people just aren't in tuned with it like I am, because it's just such a, like, I care about it so much maybe. But tokenism is such a massive thing with every walk of life, and definitely in the wedding industry. I think that's why we see straight people pretending or faking to be a lesbian couple for shoots. I think it's why we see generally very kind of two feminine lesbians together on a lot of shoots.
Yeah.
Because that is that is what sells, because over the course of history, like feminine lesbians have been, just as it's trying to reconnect me. Can you still see me?
Oh, we can still hear you.
Okay, sorry. On my side, it just said reconnecting, so I was just a bit worried.
Okay,
fine. And I'll carry on with my little spiel.
Yeah, go for it.
Through history, feminine lesbians have been sexualized. It's kind of what people want to see. So I think that all feeds into tokenism. And although it's really hard to not, like, you have to want to showcase LGBTQ plus love, and that will always come from, I think, down to like, why do you want to do that? And only those personal people will know why. So if they're doing it for money, if they're doing it to kind of get on that market, anything like that, then that comes down to you're tokenizing that community. Obviously, I have I do a inclusivity workshop, and I ask this question a lot, about like, do you think tokenism has to happen in some way to then show more representation? And at the end of the day, surely we want representation. That's completely like an open question. You're like, feel free to answer it. What you think of it. Like, there's absolutely no wrong answer.
So
I think it just gets you thinking.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that. I was like typing that when you started saying that question, because it's like, I think we've had this conversation a couple of times. It's like, because we're in Scotland and we only do Scottish couples, really, or we only do Scottish kind of weddings, that people coming over here only do that kind of Scottish thing. There's not a lot of diversity, believe it or not, or it doesn't feel like there is in our culture. So when like I look at my portfolio, for example, our portfolio, sorry, there's a lot of just white couples. Now, there's obviously a lot of gay couples, and that's never been an issue, but the whiteness of our portfolio has always stuck out to me. It's that kind of same vibe. When does it become, and I think we spoke to, did we speak to Esme Whiteside about this? When does that become non-token before it gets not, do you know what I mean? Am I just rambling?
Yeah, no, you're fine. And I feel like I listened to Esme's podcast. And like, I will say as well, like, to anyone, to you guys, to anyone that wants to do better, you will probably get it wrong. But getting it wrong and moving one step forward is way better than staying where you are and not doing anything. So like, I get it wrong. Everyone gets it wrong. If you're queer, you get it wrong. Like, but I think the most important thing is that we're not staying like still and stagnant and letting like just everyone really at the moment, like politicians, people, government, everyone, like, let this just happen. And however much small the wedding industry might be within that, if you can talk, if you can say something, if you can try, then that's one step forward. That is one person helping us more than we've had before. So, I just wanted to put that in, because I don't want you or anyone listening to this to feel like to not do it because it's too much or they're going to get it wrong, because it's like way more important that you just make those steps.
Yeah. Sometimes as I said before, I'm very aware these days that I'm the cis white male, the rich cis white male. Like, I'm hitting all the categories that are what seem to be a lot of the bastards. So sometimes I do want to move in that direction, but I feel like I need encouragement. I don't, does that make sense? I do not know if that makes sense, but yeah.
But also I would question that with, what are you doing with your privilege then? You are a very privileged person. What
That
are you
is very
doing
true.
with that privilege?
Yeah.
And again, a question to everyone, really. And like, I know you asked me a question and I will get back to it, I promise. But in terms of like when people don't talk about politics, for example, because that's what they shouldn't do that for their business. That's very wow. And I'm not going to come on here and say you have to do that. But at the same time, that comes with privilege. That comes with your safety and your of your whole life, of money, of how you live, of where you live, all these things. Because politics is literally it. Sorry, I'm just like trying to think of words.
It's okay.
For us, for LGBTQ plus people, I think we hear things. I heard someone say they'd gone to Bristol Pride a couple of years ago and they were like, oh, but it's so political. And it's just like, sadly, our lives are political and we don't want that, but that's what it is. So it's just kind of being aware. There's so many kind of bits to like LGBTQ plus people living, like especially trans people at the moment. And obviously we live in the UK, which obviously we've probably got a lot to say about the government here, but it's also a lot better than countries where it is literally illegal to be gay. So like sadly politics does come into it, and therefore for me personally, like talking about politics just then comes naturally, and that will also get the clients I want, because I don't want no Tory. I don't want to photograph no Tory. Absolutely not. So like it's everything. It is, because they're like, it's not just me saying that, it's me kind of then being on a level with my clients that feel the same and want to feel safe in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, big.
I'm sorry, I feel like I've spoken so much at you.
No, it's fine. It's great. It's great. It's it kind of amazes me when someone says a comment like that. It's too political. I'm like, in this day and age, how could it not be, when people are being villainized and demonized and marginalized and having their rights stripped off them, and like, just what a mind-blowing comment. Not even anyway. Sorry, this is not a political podcast.
But sometimes it has to be.
Well, exactly. Oh God, I've just done the thing. I've just done the thing I was just complaining about. My God, what's wrong with me? But yes, I will take my privilege and I'll move it over to the photography business side of things, because it is a big rabbit hole, and I'm probably not overly equipped to have too much. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyway,
let's talk about like how your business is set up, because April came into the business and now works alongside you as well. So how do you guys divide up the roles in the business and shooting a wedding?
Yeah, absolutely. So April has been like a film photographer for 10 years. And it's kind of how we met as well. So it was just a bit of a, what should we do? We both want to live in the van. They just had a kind of supermarket job beforehand, and living in a van and just being stationary somewhere is hard anyway. So it was just like, let's give this a go. Let's try. So first off, they started just kind of second shooting for me. And like, if people added a film photography package, then she'd do that. But it has just kind of grown and grown. And this year we're just very busy, which is great. So we're just kind of having a look more at the like our schedule and things, and being like, oh, April really needs to take that because I'm just really fully booked. And just integrated them into the business more, in terms of, we are a team now. So you might get Steph, you might get April. And just kind of doing it like that. And it's just nice to kind of work with someone too. I'm sure you two know, like, having someone, when you're self-employed is kind of quite lonely, and you reach out to other photographers and people. So having someone who literally shares that side of it as well, it's really nice. And I always love working with people anyway. When there's a like 2 photographer job or anything like that, I've always enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, me too. I mean, obviously it makes our job a bit easier if we've got different roles on the day. But yeah, we've worked with a few single solo shooter photographers, and I'm not saying there's a sadness to them, but there's they definitely I think they definitely like chatting.
You can see them bouncing off of us a bit more and enjoying the fact that they have like a creative partner on the day, like whether it's one of us on the shoot or 2 of us. You can see a difference in their sort of excitement and energy for the day sometimes.
Yeah, that is absolutely it. Like, I work with Steph and Els a fair amount as well, and when we work together, it's just like when you've got that other person, you're just more creative. You can just like try the things because you've got like another support, or you just bounce off each other. So it absolutely totally is that.
Yeah. So adding in some video elements to your packages, how's that affected things? Like, was that quite good for the bottom line? Like, did it bump up some package prices and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that we do phone video. We do not do cinematic gorgeous videos like you guys. But it was kind of something that I was interested in anyway, like the content creation side of it. Less content creation side of it, but more just I can like do something on my phone, and offering that was just kind of, it also means it's not another like different person added to the mix. We can just do that. And then more recently, we're just starting to do kind of camcorder stuff, which I think really just aligns nicely with the film photography stuff, because it's all very kind of nostalgic, authentic. Again, very much in like a highlights video, little video of your day. We are very kind of strict on, we are not videographers, but like there's just, it's nice things to add. And again, it kind of adds April into packages that and things like that. So it just kind of helps overall. And we enjoy it. I think that's anything that we kind of have as add-ons we really enjoy and we want to kind of do more of. So that's what it comes down to, really.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of videographers, and we're included, where we've been like, should we be doing some content creation as well? Just adding this in. But there's a lot of videographers who are like, oh, we need to be doing that because they're stealing our market or whatever. But it's not something that's natural to them. They don't enjoy filming trending TikTok transitions and stuff like that. So the way you said that you like to just not film content creation stuff, just using the phone because it's a tool you have, that makes sense. And I think a lot of people who are thinking of doing content creation, maybe that style suits them more. I don't know.
Yeah. I was having a really interesting conversation. So every month or every other month, we meet for pancakes. A group of photographers from the We Fell in Love.
Sounds amazing.
It was very good. I'm not gonna lie. I did stuff my face. I am disgusting. But we're talking about content creators, and it was weird how many different people had different opinions on them, and even different opinions on what their role should be and what they actually do. A lot of people are very confused, or even like, because there's not one thing that they offer, is there? There's like different, like it started off as like kind of just behind the scenes, and then it's now like a proper good, just vertical highlight film.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think that's it. And they, and they do photo and they do video, and you get it within like 24, 48 hours or something like that. And it's just like, I think that's then scary for us photographers and videographers, because that's something that we're not going to do. We can't achieve that, nor probably will we ever want to. But like, it's adding something, isn't it? So I think something new is always scary, but also I think I always go back to, they're just doing their job. They've just been kind of like paid to be there, just like we have.
Yeah.
I going back to the thing about kind of your videographers, and it's just not kind of as natural to you. I also think kind of, I'm talking about Owls again, but my friend Owls from Rebel Love Club, they don't want to add it because they want people to hire them for a full video. So like it's kind of giving them an out as such to maybe go for the cheaper package or go for something that Owls can't create in the same way. So I think that's why they're personally doing it, and I can imagine a lot of people are in the same boat with that.
Yeah. I was actually checking out their work. Pretty cool. And a good website. I really enjoyed going through their content. So let's talk about your photography style then for a minute. How would you describe it in like 3 words, say?
I hate this question.
Can it?
Yeah, no.
I think intimate, authentic, and romantic, queer. I don't know. The third one, there's a few different things that probably the third one could be.
Interchangeable.
Yeah. Do you think your style's changed?
In the background, like pros in the background, like whispering, like documentary. Candid.
I mean, it does say on your website documentary style. But yeah, what does that look like to you then? What does that look like or feel like?
Yeah, I think like this, like documentary or just like all these words we're getting, like I think buzzwords at the moment. With like wedding photography, wedding videography and things. So I just personally see it as something that's like not like I'm not interrupting your day. I'm not making things happen on your day. I am literally storytelling your day as it happened. Sorry to use storytelling, but like I'm there to tell that how your day happened. And I don't want my couples to think, oh, I remember that photo because my photographer took me off for 20 minutes and it means I couldn't be with my granny. I just want to be able to capture the most authentic kind of parts of the day. And obviously, I don't think you can fully be documentary or you can fully be, I think it's just really hard to be one thing, especially with things like group photos, like they're such a stand and smile situation. And even if you did them in a more fun, candid way, you're still getting people together and you're wanting to take a photo of them. So I think like I would always be kind of as documentary and candid as possible, but also I'm very aware that like I'm not the most documentary photographer and that's totally okay. I just kind of want to photograph weddings as they happened, I guess.
Yeah. You're so right about the words though. It's so funny how we kind of like use them in a way that almost doesn't reflect the thing that we're doing properly. It's like when we were early in the career, the buzzword was cinematic. And it didn't really mean any particular thing, although you had articles saying otherwise. You'd be like, well, it has to be 25 frames a second, it needs to this, and blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing now with storyteller.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a word that kind of changes over time, or people can make it fit whatever. I find that really funny. But yeah, I suppose it's really hard to...
People podcasters and other people ask these questions, so you need to have words to try and describe it. But really, the couples should just be looking at your work and see what they feel it is, and be able to understand it. But you need copy on your website. So
Where?
I know.
you just got to do it.
So are we saying that feel is how we sell things?
Maybe.
I feel like
I would
that's
agree with
that's always.
Sorry. I think
it's okay. I think
slight
there's a
hand,
mega
so
delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. This is a conversation. It's not just Simon rambling, although it is most of the time me rambling. So I'm sorry.
I would say I want lovers and couples to see my photos and feel something. Absolutely. Both from like looking for a photographer and obviously when I deliver the actual gallery. So I absolutely want that. I think feel is a big thing. And I think that's why I love video. Like, I think video is gorgeous because I think you can like really feel that more, I guess. So I think feeling what like your work is a really important thing for couples to see and kind of want from it, I guess.
Yeah. You obviously you mentioned you're in a van and that gives you the ability to be able to travel. Is there anywhere that you particularly like to travel to shoot weddings? Or yeah. Well, I've got another question, but yeah.
I don't really think a particular place. I think literally we are all over the place, and it means I've got to see some like amazing venues and amazing places. So I really don't think I'm sure we've got some kind of doubled up venues and kind of locations this year, but generally we don't have a lot. So I don't think I've really kind of got into enjoying one place, I guess, or really liking one place. I think there's some cool venues that I'd love to shoot at more. But like personally, I think we like to be in Brighton as much as possible. But last year that happened less and less just because we were all over the place but being busy. But yeah, honestly, I don't think I have a particular kind of place or venue.
We were having a conversation with an Australian photographer. His name is Rick Liston. His approach to marketing was just to like he's based in a specific part of Australia, and it's only local weddings that he shoots. So his marketing is to get to every venue and make sure that he's on the suppliers list. And like if you're a couple looking at those venues, you cannot avoid this man. That's his marketing technique. And I know a lot of people struggle with SEO and all that side of marketing. What's your marketing approach, since you're not based in any one particular area?
So I think my SEO, from people who I paid to do my SEO, have put in Brighton for my kind of location, and to kind of, because we want to be there more, it kind of makes sense to try and do that. Also, LGBTQ plus capital of the UK, so great. But I think people find me most through, be it Instagram or through my website, just through searching kind of same-sex, LGBTQ plus, queer, etc., all the wonderful words, kind of, and that's how they find me. And I try and be very open, and in terms of like, if you are not LGBTQ plus, or if you're in a straight facing relationship, you are absolutely welcome here. However, the reason I kind of market myself so queer, if you will, is because I want to feel safe, and I want to have the couples that kind of see me as much as I can see them. So if I do get straight or straight facing couples, it means that they actually kind of, they care to like hire an LGBTQ plus person, and they align like with me. So yeah, for me, it's been great.
Yeah. And I suppose, you know, when I called you a master earlier, referring to TikTok, it was that kind of encompassing value of just inclusivity no matter what. You know, it's like you do a very amazing job at not just catering to one community. You are making sure that everyone feels comfortable and welcome other than Tories, obviously. But yeah, I think you're really good at that.
Thank you. That
I
means a
think there's
lot,
a
and that
massive-
you can see it.
Yeah, sorry. I think there's like a 8-second delay or something. It's massive.
It's long, but maybe not 8 seconds.
So listeners, I'm sorry if you're waiting for a bit.
Hopefully you can cut this and edit it wonderfully. That's what I'm going to go for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me is thinking we should stop and start again to reduce the.
No one is talking now.
You just froze there.
I think we're both
Simon's
waiting.
brain just froze.
It wasn't me. I'm waiting for the delay to stop so that Steph can talk. And I'm just like, when's?
I'm going to go. I'm talking. I'm here. Okay. I'm really sorry if it's my internet. I feel it was like good on. So I'm really, really sorry.
It's okay.
What I was going to say is thank you. I like that. I really appreciate that you can see that, and like it's obvious. I guess I think it's really important to me that we like I said, we don't see just straight white cis like skinny people in all our marketing. So people love comes in every shape and size. So we really need to be able to showcase that. And I definitely have kind of things that I need to do better on and to share more and to learn more about. Absolutely. So I'm definitely not perfect, but I think I'm trying to do something. So that really like means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what is your approach to TikTok in particular then? Like what makes you decide to come up with a video idea or what to post? Do you have like a schedule that you plan out, or is it quite spontaneous?
I would love to tell you that I had a schedule. I would love to tell you that I was actually, in fact, a TikTok master, but none of that is true. No, honestly, I just get round to posting both on Instagram and TikTok when I remember to. I think if it's like a TikTok or a reel that, I don't know, showcases my work rather than like one particular shoot or one particular wedding, I always am very aware of trying to kind of get lots of different love, lots of different people, like within that, because I've absolutely had people be like, oh, okay, so everyone is white, or like things. I've had those comments before. So it's now something I'm really aware of and want to do better at. Also when I do shoots, when I do my workshop, having kind of an array of wonderful people is really important to me. Because obviously that's how I'm not only doing it for the workshop itself, but I'm doing it for my portfolio too, to make sure that I am showcasing everyone.
Yeah.
What do you have a focus on a particular platform, like, or is there a platform that you like more? TikTok, Instagram? Maybe you just like to focus on your website.
No, absolutely. Absolutely not my website, sadly. Probably Instagram. I just think I prefer it more. I enjoy it more, and yeah, I think Pro is somewhat taking over TikTok a little bit more, or I'm trying to make them anyway. But I just feel more comfortable, and I get on with Instagram a bit more, I think. But also, we hate Meta, so we can't win at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that actually. What's your relationship with Meta?
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
I was having this conversation while eating pancakes. It was the whole Facebook's actually really great for SEO. Apparently, that's the rumor. Again, the algorithms always change or whatever, but apparently, if you're trying to work on your SEO, you should look into Facebook posts. I know many of us just are on Instagram and then auto post. I don't know how that affects SEO, I'm not going to lie, but just so you know, I'm just relaying the conversations that I've been having with other creatives. Anyway, I kind of want to talk about more your approach to an actual wedding. And again, there's not really a typical wedding, but in general, there's sort of a structure. So you arrive on site, then what? What are you doing?
Okay. Oh my gosh. Go through it all. I will go and probably try and find the couple or partner first. Say hi to them and make sure we're all good in that way. And then I usually go off and do some like details, say hi to the venue staff if I need to, and all that kind of good stuff then. But I think my focus is always on, from the start, making sure that my couples are comfortable. And generally they wouldn't have met me, maybe like on Zoom, but I don't really get a lot of pre-shoots. So generally they don't meet me beforehand. So I think just making sure that they're comfortable with me from the start is really important. And yeah, do you want me to go bit by bit of a wedding?
You don't need to go. You don't need to go through the whole day. But I am wondering what your approach is in general to capturing a wedding in the way that you do. For example, once we've done all those things at the preps, Greg and I will also do those things. We will do our best to make sure that we are talking to as many people as we can, that we're not just seen as the video camera guy, that we're seen as people ourselves. So being aware that not everyone at a wedding knows each other, we're going to make sure that they know us. And then that gives us the ability to kind of become invisible, like hidden in plain sight, as it were. You know, like blending in as we are a guest. That's our approach. So I'm wondering what your kind of approach is for your style of photography.
Yeah, I think I definitely do that. I don't think I've thought about it kind of to make it an approach as such, but I think that is something I definitely do. And I think a lot of my reviews and when I hear people talk about what I've done, it's like, she just like was like a guest, or she was just like made herself like friends with our friends, and that was so nice. And so I absolutely think that. And I think it's right. I think if someone thinks that you are like, you're just that person with the camera, they are going to look at you each time when you don't want them to, or they're not going to be like warm to you. So I think like being a human like is really important, and it will mean that you get those shots that you really need. So I think being kind of warm and approachable and just a normal person, because we obviously are, but I think there's a lot of like, we think that we have to be a professional minded person or business minded person, but all we need to do is capture that wedding in the best way.
Yeah.
So however that looks. So
I would never describe myself as a
absolutely.
normal person, though.
I mean, me neither. Absolutely not. So.
What does a couple shoot look like with you then? How are you guiding the couple? How are you posing them, if at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am very I love a walk and talk. It's my favorite thing. It's kind of my go-to in between, as I'm sure, as we're all thinking about how to pose and direct people. But for me, like, I love it. And I think people obviously are like, oh, it's just your in-between bit, but I love it. I get the best photos from people just kind of stopping, chilling, realizing that they can literally just walk around this venue with me and we're having a chat. And I try and obviously get them to talk to each other or say things to each other. But kind of, I like as much movement as I physically can. And I just, again, it's just all about how comfortable they might be or how kind of I can get their most natural, authentic reactions out of a day that generally only happens once, or you're not in front of the camera a lot. Like, it's quite an odd thing to be kind of a couple at your own wedding. So I just want people to feel that they can be themselves around me. So I think that's what I really try and do, like ingrain the most from the start to finish, is that you can be yourself around me. You can show your love how you normally show your love, because that will get the best photos.
Yeah. You mentioned prioritizing the couple being with their granny rather than 20 minutes with with you. Is that, do you still take 20 minutes though? You just are aware of what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Couples, like the couple bits will always be my favorite. And I think they appreciate it too, because they can just like be taken off somewhat in terms of like not having to talk to everyone, not having everyone around them. So I think it's kind of quite a nice downtime for couples too, to be fair. I think it's just more that I don't want them to think this particular photo was because I was made to stand and stare at the camera. When and kind of how I take the couples off for those 15, 20 minutes will absolutely depend on each wedding. I tend to do it just before people go in to sit down for food, just because it then takes less time out of their drinks reception. But like, that will just depend. And also how long we end up taking will be very much on, again, how the couple are together. I don't want to like push them or make them do anything. So if I feel like they've had enough, I'm sure I've got enough. I've never not had enough photos of kind of couple portraits. So I just kind of am guided with them. Again, if it's like a summer wedding and we can go out again in the evening, then I will always do it, because the vibe of the photos will always feel a bit different, because they're relaxed. They've drank more probably. They kind of have, I don't know, taken items of clothing off and just things like that. So it's just a different kind of vibe there. And so I'm more, that tends to be where they will kind of relax a lot more with me too.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who we spoke to. It's Joanna and Nathan. Yeah. So we were speaking to Joanna and Nathan, who are sky photographers and filmmakers actually. But they were talking about a couple shoot. They were talking about an experience that they had, and a prompt that they were given was to hump like bunnies. Now, that didn't sit well with them. So I'm wondering, what is your approach to a couple to avoid that kind of ick factor? I mean, I'm gonna say, like, or are you the type of photographer who would say hump like bunnies? Like, I don't know. No judgment, I suppose. Yeah.
I have not used hump like bunnies, and I don't think I'm going to take it away with me either. But I think so I do love.
Thank God.
I do like to use. I haven't used it a lot recently, but not for a reason. But like dirty talk, your takeaway order in each other's ear. So that usually gets laughs, if nothing more. I've had one couple say no to that, and then I think it stumped me more than it did them, and I was like, okay, on we go then. But I think I probably use kind of those sort of kind of directions less now,
Yeah.
maybe because I feel like I don't need them, like just personally,
Sure.
because I've done so many weddings, because I kind of like can connect with couples in a different way. Maybe I don't know, but things like that will always be in my back pocket. But I think you definitely have to read the couple in knowing that if that's gonna work or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed. I'm wondering then. Do you have any? Do you, like before you shoot a wedding? Are you doing much work in the preparation phase? Are you sending out questionnaires? Are you doing calls with the couple? Are you meeting them? Are you driving up to their house in your camper van and going like, "Hey, I'm going to take you for dinner," or something mad?
No, so I will always do a questionnaire and I will do a pre-call. I also really suggest that like people follow me on Instagram if they've got Instagram and things, just because I feel like we can then get to know each other a bit more on a more personal level. And I think they then get to the day and they're like, oh, Steph's just a face that we see on stories, or that we chat on stories and stuff. So I think kind of that is a really important thing for me. I'm just going to cough.
Bless you.
Spoken too much to you. So yeah, I just like I would say the normal amount of communication, but I think I just try and get to know them the most with the questionnaire and the pre kind of wedding call. I really do try and just make sure that they're comfortable, like know about their insecurities, know about what they're worried about, and kind of hash over that as much as possible.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you sometimes shoot film on weddings, especially if April's there with you. So what is in your general kit bag? Like what are you normally shooting on? Body, lens?
Yeah, absolutely. So digital wise, we've got the Sony A7 IVs and A7 IIIs, and then just a variation of G Master lenses, 24, 50, 35, 85. I'm definitely thinking about the 28-70 f/2, but I don't know at the moment. Like I've got Godox flash, standard kind of bits and pieces that go along with that. Film photography wise, we've both got Canon AV1s. I don't know if you know anything about film photography, but they're like lovely SLR cameras. And I've also just got a Canon EOS 300, so it's called. Yeah. So that's got a autofocus lens and it's kind of more kind of modern, if you will. So that's kind of best, like easier just to shoot a wedding because having to focus is quite hard. And then we've got kind of a compact Olympus Muji as well for like dance floor stuff and flash things. So a variation of things. I think my kind of go-to is always, I love my 35 lens that will be on my camera like almost all the day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love a 35. Is that on your Canon, your film camera? A 35?
No, I've got a 50 on my film camera, but my Sony has always got my 35 on. Yeah, and April shoots medium format film as well. So like that's quite hefty to lug around when we've got actual film kind of packages as well.
Yeah. Is that like swinging from a holdfast, is it? Or I can't imagine a big beast like that being swinging around your hips. I don't know.
Yeah, it's used minimally, kind of some couples, some kind of detail shots, and then it's carefully put down because you'd know one wants that swinging around.
Yeah, her children would be in risk for sure. Let's. I kind of want to talk about lighting actually because you mentioned your Godox flash. And I know, being a film photographer, you're probably more aware than digital shooters about the amount of light or lack thereof, I suppose. What's your approach to lighting? Are you proficient with your flash? Is it just as a kind of safety, let's add some more pop of light? What's your approach there?
I am awful at flash. I am really, really bad at flash. I think I will use it when I need to. I do love a direct flash, but is that just, again, like buzzword at the moment, like trend, if you will? But I really do like it.
So editorial.
But I generally will use flash if I need to. I like not using flash though, in terms of, I think it's very different for film, because film cameras can obviously do a lot less and deal with it. But my Sony's deal with low light great. And I like things to look atmospheric, or how they were. So I think obviously there are times where flash needs to be used. But I am absolutely not, the person to talk about flash with.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a good few conversations with people who are very proficient with flash. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they've been great conversations, but sometimes I have felt that what they're really saying is, if you don't know how to flash, if you just describe yourself as a natural light photographer, you're a bit shit. Oh, that is the vibe that I've gotten from these people who use flash. And you know what? I disagree. It's just different.
You know what? I think, yeah, exactly. It's different. You stay in your own lane. You're great at flash. I'm really happy for you. But you probably don't use natural light the way I do either. So
That is right. That's right. You'll see these people. It's like sun's above your head, and they're just flashing away, getting in the video person's way with their popping flash, and you're just like, "Excuse me, can you just stop a little minute, please, so I can get a 2-second clip?" Anyway,
you mentioned trends there. Do you feel the urge sometimes? Obviously, the wedding industry is quite trend based, but are you able to stay true to your style and avoid falling into trends?
I think at times, I will definitely have a little play with trends, like direct flash, like I say. And, but also I don't hate that, because it's got me to use my flash more and learn more. And kind of a Dutch chill in blurry photos, and I don't know what other else we've seen. I've definitely done them, but I don't think they become my main part of my portfolio or what I do or how I do it. I think a lot of my film photos are fairly blurry because I am really bad at focusing, apparently. But I lead into that, so I feel like if my digital work did kind of correspond with that, then I'll just be like, yeah, it's fine. It's just it's cohesive in that way.
Yeah. There's definitely another group of photographers out there thinking, she can't even focus. She can't use flash. She can't focus. What's she doing? I know you're out there.
Honestly,
stop being mean.
I don't know why either, but I'm a good photographer still. So
hell yeah, your images are awesome. I love it.
And why don't we look at some of the emojis? We're going to show and tell.
All right. Okay. We'll go to show and tell. Hey folks, I just wanted to make this quick note before we continue with our show and tell. And just so you know, I'm coming from my home office, hence where you can't see, I'm not in the studio. But after the podcast was recorded, Stephanie got in contact with me to bring my attention to the fact that I had used incorrect, actually outdated language when talking about people with disabilities. I wanted to acknowledge that and correct myself. I can't remember the exact terms I used, but I'm pretty sure I used the words wheelchair bound. It would have been more respectful if I had phrased it wheelchair user or someone who uses a wheelchair. A little bit later in the show and tell, I also used the term handicapped, which is a lot worse and is seen as directly offensive. So I just wanted to correct myself there. I should have used disabled person or person with a disability. I want to be aware that you know that this was my mistake. It was my words. I was the person talking, but I do want to speak on behalf of Greg and myself for just this little bit. We both realize that as people with a platform, this platform, how important it is to be mindful of the language that you use, especially how it impacts others. And I am always learning. We are always learning. We do appreciate the opportunity to grow and do better in future conversations. Back to me, being an editor, I would rather, there's a huge part of me that would just rather just cut this out completely and pretend it did not exist. But I would be a weaker person for doing that. So I want to acknowledge my mistakes openly. I think these conversations are still important to have. And yes, I do appreciate your understanding. I will continue to research and do better. All right, back to show and tell. I always remember this bride that we shot with ages ago. And I remember, again, how aware that she was of having her video taken or her photograph taken. And again, just being so apologetic about it. Like, oh, I'm so sorry, but can you... And again, it's like one of those moments where you have in your career and you just think, we're doing a disservice here. So I always think representation is amazing.
Because that's what she's had to do most her life as well. Like, she's had to apologize for having to use a wheelchair. People have had to make things better for her to be able to literally just live in her wheelchair. So I think it comes from just systematic having to do this all your life. So it's just her apologizing to you, which obviously is wild, but that's just then becomes something that she's had to do.
Exactly. And it is wild. Don't apologize. We've had people apologizing for their style of wedding, apologize because they're I don't know. So I always appreciate when I see an image like this. Go for it. I know it's had delay again. Sorry.
I'm just going to ask you a question.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question there. Do you think, with you or with anyone, they're apologizing though because they don't see themselves in your work, in anyone's work? I'm not just putting this at you, obviously, chatting to you, but seeing themselves, they don't see themselves in your work. So you doing this wedding, whatever difference it is, I'm sorry you don't usually shoot this wedding. So is that why? Because just a food for thought there.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
You're absolutely right.
I think our issue is we don't go out of our way to create our own styled shoots and create our own marketing. We just use the weddings we shoot to market. So that's something that we probably need to work on is let's create styled shoots.
Yeah. In fact, you know what, actually? I'm actually terrible at planning styled shoots. If anyone out there is listening and can help me do a styled shoot, I would be most gracious to you. Or any advice, because picking models, dress sizes, styles, I'm shit at all of it. And I feel like I need to be better so that I can create content that is more representative of a space that is inclusive. But that's my weakness to work on. And maybe that's something I need to work on in 2025. Because you are right, Steph. You are right to call me up on that.
I would...
Sorry, it's that delay again.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, like, I think many people don't like styled shoots. They don't like going to workshops. They don't like anything that kind of isn't real, if you like. But I think that also is a little bit comes from like some sort of privilege of not needing to market yourself in that way, or just feeling like you're fine with your clients or whatever. But I think knowing, like you just said, you want to be more representative of the people that you would like to see. And the only way to do that is to photograph people, because that like being able to see yourself in your work will be so important for people to book you. Like that will be really something that they are looking for, that they can see themselves. So even if you're fully booked and you don't need like styled shoots in terms of like that, like getting more kind of bookings, but I love styled shoots because I think I can be creative with them. I can obviously do better, be more inclusive, ask couples to come along that maybe I wouldn't get to shoot with normally. So I think like I think they're really good, and I think like definitely kind of investing in them or doing them, it's such a small step into being more inclusive in your portfolio. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. Do you know if there's anyone who does styled shoot education? Is that a thing?
Well, Esme Whiteside puts on style shoots, and yeah,
I know, but she puts on style shoots. I don't want to feel like I'm just bumming a cigarette, you know, in old school terms. Like I don't want to be, because I feel like videographers always come off as like, oh, they're always shooting over my shoulder, or you know, and we're always getting on to be like, oh, well, you should have your own creative vision for stuff. But that only extends to weddings. It never extends, for us anyway, outside. And I think for me, it's a fear because I feel pretty... I'm not very confident at doing a style shoot because I don't know what to do. And so if anyone has a workshop,
do what you want to do.
What does that mean in terms of this kind of type of thing? I don't know. Like, what are the practical steps of like getting a model on? Where do I find a model? Where do I find their dress size? Right. Does she pick the dress size? Not the dress size. Where the dress is? Like, how does that communication work? What about knowing? Like, I'm not a fashion kind of person. I'm just jeans and a t-shirt. That's me. So I'm like, I don't know dress styles really. I'm just a friendly person with a camera who wants to do better, but I don't really know how. So if anyone can help me out there, yeah. But then I'm not. Yeah,
I do think as well, like obviously you don't want to like go to workshops. Maybe you feel like you're clinging on there or whatever, but like doing a workshop with like, I know Becky does workshops as well, doesn't she? Or Esme, or I know Photography Farm go to Scotland a lot. Hopefully I'm bringing my workshop to Scotland at the end of the year. But all these places, even if you went to one, even if you went to one and like you got a feel of it somewhat, I know you won't see the full ins and outs of it, but you'll get a feel of it a little bit more. And then that will kind of put you in good stead to be like, okay, what do I actually want? Because what they're wearing or what they like, all these ins and outs, it doesn't really matter, does it? What matters is what you can capture in your way, in the way that you want to show it. So I think really probably overthinking that somewhat. I know we feel like we have to be like on trend again, or like just keep up with what other shoots are doing. But really, you have to go back to why you're doing that shoot. Do you want to do that because you're showing more representation? And that's the bottom line. As long as you're doing that, that's what matters.
Yeah. Okay. That's sort of what I meant by do whatever you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
But what was the story behind this image? Was this one of your workshops, or is this a wedding? Tell us a bit more about this couple here.
This is from a workshop that I did last spring. We've got Rue and Jess here, and they both use wheelchairs. They are kind of independently quite known online, if you will, especially in the kind of disabled community, gaming community. So yeah, I just reached out to them to see if they wanted to do the workshop with me and be one of my couples. Showcasing disabled people is really something that I'm working on more, because it's something that lacks in my portfolio and I really want to do better with it. And just kind of shooting with these two, following them has given me so much more kind of knowledge and awareness. So even just kind of following them on Instagram has been so great. And I always think that I think people don't know where they will start or find models and things. And I think just kind of following people on Instagram is such a good start to that, and just reaching out to people because they want to showcase their love as well. And having that like opened up to the workshop was important to them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. I just like, it's a really nice, colorful image. Two happy individuals. I like that. Yes. So this was an interesting image because it seemed to me to be, I mean, we'll go surface level here at the beginning. A different style of coloring, it would seem to me. Which, I mean, I'm digging, but I don't know if it was just the light on the day or if it's just the tones from the hair, the clothes, and the flowers. Like, did you color this differently at all, or?
So slightly. Okay. I am kind of playing with my edit. I'm having a like meltdown of how I feel about my edit at the moment. So I think it was slightly darker and warmer than it was slightly darker and warmer than I normally do. But also I think that photo just led to that as well. It's not like too off what the raw was. And when I first edited it, it's not much off that either. But I was just playing around, but I think it's just maybe more noticeable because it just generally is a darker image as well. So yeah, that was actually at one of Esme's workshops.
Oh, that is so funny because I felt like that was a very Esme style of image that you created in terms of like that kind of warmer aesthetic that you've got going on. That's absolutely hilarious. But
the flowers also have the sort of tones that she
I think
likes to play with in all her styling.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it just lends, like the photo, the styling, it lends to being like that.
I did not hear a word of that. You cut out there.
I don't know what I said now. I think the tones and the whole styling that she like did for it kind of lends to being like that.
Yeah. It's a great image. So on a don't you dare. I'm not going. Don't you dare. So on a purely focus level, because you're talking about a focus there, you have picked the flower, and maybe you won't be able to tell us on the TV, but you've picked the flowers, the bouquet, as the focus on this image. And I actually love the fact that you've done that for this particular image. Obviously there are, the couple themselves are actually focused on other images. You've got a whole bunch with this couple, but the flowers are the focus here, and it's interesting in a way because you focused on the bouquet. It's just another way of focusing on the things at a wedding, but without it purely being the things. Do you know what I mean? It's like I see a lot of photographers doing just detailed shots of just separate shoes, or they take these items and they separate them from the wedding day to photograph them. And as a video person, that's always been quite strange to me, although I understand the need to document these items. But I feel like when we shoot the dress, for example, we're shooting it always being interacted with. Yeah. Much like you have done here. And I think it just works for the style of photography that I enjoy. obviously, if we've spoken to a few other people who want to put their trendy spin on things like dangling shoes above a pool, or throwing them and photographing them, or I mean, that's cool, but it seems a little bit more removed from what the actual wedding is. I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry. So what was that an intentional choice there, or did you just go, I like that image, snap?
Yeah, no, having the focus in the flowers in focus was intentional for that one. And I think for me personally, I think I love all these photos. The shoot was gorgeous. So yeah, it was great. But I think this photo really kind of encompasses like what I think documentary is, that like it's again, to use that word, but it does story tell really well, because like the photos are with them. It's like the most authentic thing that they have their flowers. And like the flowers are so gorgeous. So why would I not do that? And it's with them. And it's kind of like, I always think, however you want to take storytelling at the moment, but I think it's that you can like watch yourself back, and that us taking the flowers off them, just like it didn't make sense. Like them having it's like us kind of watching them and them being able to relive what actually happened. I feel like that was quite like rambly too, but hopefully it made sense.
It's okay. We're two rambly individuals. It's fine. Our listeners will be like, yes, loving it. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll be like, you never let Greg speak. Yeah, sorry, Stephen. Stevie Weir. You were saying that yesterday. Anyway, sorry. I do want to mention, although we've kind of spoke about this earlier, you were talking about diversity. You had a really powerful kind of text copy. You'd said you'd written something very powerful on your social media along with this image, and you've used this a couple of times throughout your whole Instagram, in quite a powerful way. In this one, it was talking about the wedding industry kind of defaulting all the time to brides, and the kind of exclusion that creates. And I really like the fact that you're using your images not just for images sake, not just because it's a pretty image, but you're using them and combining them with actual meaningful sentiments that is reflective of you and your you and your brand. And I wonder how many of us out there are just posting stuff just to post stuff and aren't thinking about the copy or the meaning or what that says about you, your art, and your brand. And I just like the fact that you focus on that a lot.
Yeah, I do. And I think that comes with kind of wanting the wedding industry to do better, as I keep talking about. But like, I think it comes with wanting to showcase inclusivity, and people just maybe their light bulb moment has not gone off, and they are not aware of this. Maybe that is the case. And so me just sharing hints and tips and kind of focusing on things behind like what actually happened, why that image is so powerful, why just having two people that look like they could be grooms, but they have long hair, but they're wearing like they've got flowers, why that's so important to see as well. So I think kind of everything I try and post, it doesn't always happen because like we just got to post what we got to post sometimes. But what I try and really kind of showcase the most is just kind of what this photo means and what it will mean to the LGBTQ plus community, of people seeing that as well. Yeah.
We've had a few conversations with other photographers who have been met with quite a lot of vitriol and hate in their comments. Is that something that you've had to deal with?
Generally not. Like, touch wood, we definitely get the odd kind of hate comment, like whatever, but really no. I don't know if that's because we've not had something kind of go viral. So if you like, we've stayed on the right side of TikTok or Instagram. The one time I remember seeing it the most is I did something with MPB last Pride, I think it was for. And obviously that opens you up to a kind of different audience, if you will. So there was definitely like some hate comments on there that MPB did really well with kind of helping me, and also obviously protecting what I care about more is protecting my couples and my lovers that I'm showcasing photos of.
Yeah.
Because that's not fair on them that they get that through me, like, or through social media generally, like that shouldn't be the case. So generally not. But it obviously happens. I think I just am on a very queer side of all social media, thankfully, that, what I tend to get is love. And maybe when I do hit people that, like, it's not their everyday kind of social media scroll to see these things, they just see it in a way as, oh my gosh, that's so gorgeous. Like, oh, I should be doing that. Or it makes them think about like how they can represent more as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Next image.
Next image, Greg. Next image. Yes. So the reason I like this is again we have so many conversations about getting to know your couples, and it's always interesting to hear whether or not something is spontaneous or not, because I feel like the spontaneity of something comes through on a visual level. So I'm in my head, I'm trying to guess whether it is it's something that's just happened, or whether it's being pre-planned. And I don't have a preference as to whether it's pre-planned or not. I often feel that the pre-planned stuff is more intimate and closer shot. But I feel like ones that are like just like off the cuff seem more fun, and that sort of energy comes through in images. That being said, I could be wrong in assuming that this is more of a spontaneous thing, because you're kind of in a forest in the middle of nowhere, laughing and being together. So I just want to know more about this image, why you created it. Just everything that goes into this.
Yeah, absolutely. That was not spontaneous in terms of it wasn't a shoot that we thought they'd be dressed and they decided to get naked.
Sure.
It was kind of, so that is my wonderful friend Stefan Owls, and this was before, like, they weren't quite in the industry, maybe not as much at that point.
Okay.
And we were just talking about things that I wanted to create and things like that. So it was just them kind of putting themselves forward for let's do this shoot, and it was all obviously about kind of empowerment and wanting to get naked in a forest, and that's totally cool. So yeah, less spontaneous in terms of it was definitely kind of planned to be a naked shoot, if you like.
Sure.
But how that worked and the shots I got from it, obviously a little bit more spontaneous and what we worked with, and also just because it's such like it's them naked, half naked, like just how they felt comfortable at that time in that moment was obviously very kind of specific to that moment, because they didn't really know how they were going to feel or what they were comfortable doing and things like that.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the balance, isn't it? Making someone feel comfortable. Did you have an idea? I know you said it was planned and stuff, but why did you want to create this kind of image? And how did you go about it? You're like, hey pals, do you want to get naked for me in a forest?
Yeah, I think it literally was, hey pals, do you want to get naked with me in a forest? Stefan Owls are very spiritual. They're very like, let's touch ground. Let's take our shoes off and touch the grass. They are very like, they enjoy that part of their lives. So I think, asking them and just talking how they felt about it was just, it kind of was easy that it was going to be them if anyone that I asked. And I want to always showcase love and bodies as they are, I guess. I think also not like for so many ways, like I'm not going to airbrush you, I'm not going to Photoshop you. So I think like that's really important to kind of showcase, but also that two people walking through the forest, like this is just how empowering and wonderful. And I know like they posted on their Instagram way back when it was, when I shared the photos with them, and just like how good it was for them in terms of being able to do that and be free and also be photographed in that way, because that's not really a way that we would get photographed normally.
Yeah. Did they find it, I mean, I know you're friends, but did they find it awkward in any way? And if so, how did you make them feel more relaxed?
I think there were definitely times where they maybe not felt awkward, but just didn't want to, like they weren't comfortable in certain things. And I think that just then take it back to what they do feel comfortable with and what they want to show. And if that is like less boobs or covering their belly up more or kind of being in a certain position, like cuddling each other. I think they were like really comfortable generally. It was obviously very quiet. It was just me and them. So it was it was fine for them. But I think just kind of listening to what your couples and your lovers want is so important. I think kind of, I guess, even on a shoot, like I asked them to do this. So, I still want it to like embody them and be important to them, however much it might be for my portfolio or for whatever, but for it to actually be like comfortable with them is so important for me. And I think we need to remember that is like these weddings, the weddings we do, they're not ours. We don't need them to look a certain way. They are our couples, and we need to kind of make them comfortable and like have their wedding captured in the way that they want, not for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned that this photograph was for you. What was the purpose of creating an image like this? Did you want to do more shoots with couples in the forest, or did you just want to portray an idea of body positivity and like that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I would love to do, and it's just not something I've kind of put my energy and kind of thought into, but I would love to do more kind of lovers shoots, if you will, boudoir, but I don't really like that word. I don't know why, but kind of that sort of thing. I would love to do that as couples. So I think it kind of came from that, but also just, like I say, just being able to showcase your body and have that photographed, I think is quite powerful. And I have like gone on to photograph kind of solo people, like maybe trans people that have had top surgery or kind of a variation of people. But that's so empowering to be able to see themselves how they are. So I think kind of empowerment generally is something that I would love to like do more or to give time to at least. And I don't think I've really got there with being able to give that time, but I think that's where it really came from.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Next image, Greg. Yes. So this one was actually on a more practical level that I wanted to bring this up. Other than the fact that, again, showcasing inclusivity and all that kind of stuff. When we were having a conversation, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was Terry Hofford, she was talking about when you photograph a couple, you want to have in mind that it's a safe space for them to be vulnerable with you in front of the camera. And my attention was drawn to the rainbow on the road. Now, obviously, the rainbow being a sign of the community. When you feature this, is this something that you go out and look for, or that you know, or is this the couple's suggestion, like they wanted to go here, or like what's your approach when it comes to location scouting and creating a safe environment for people, especially out in public?
Yeah, absolutely. So like this kind of photo specifically, the couple knew that there was a rainbow like crosswalk, just kind of not far from the venue. But also obviously, the person on the left looks more masculine and they're in a dress, and that's quite a scary thing to kind of take out of your wedding venue, if you like, to be open to being in a city. So I think, they wanted to get this, they wanted to go for this little route around, and this was part of it. If I know there's, a rainbow like walk anywhere that's especially more kind of city vibes, then I'll be like, do you want to go there? And usually it's just kind of a quick crossover. So it's not like anything to, stopping them in the middle of the road or anything. But in terms of feeling safe outside, I think that is again a really like just a conversation that you need to have with like your couples, and what I obviously do. I've had couples that don't want to kiss in front of their like at their first kiss, like because it's in front of their parents or grandparents or someone, and that's like, I'm sure that happens with straight couples too. I think just maybe an awkwardness, but also obviously it does with queer love. It comes down to kind of like, is my granny really okay with this, or are my parents like not gonna like this? So I think there's always like, no matter if you're in public or not, just opening yourself up to that as a LGBTQ plus person. So I will always protect my couples in the best way, talk to them, not do something that is out of their comfort zone, and just know their level of kind of PDA and what they're happy to showcase in front of people. And also I'm an absolute bulldog, so if anyone said anything, then I would be at them straight away.
Yes, good for you. Yeah. Absolutely. You're right, actually. Presenting male in a dress with painted nails, a tiara, that triggers a lot of hate. And I was actually, before we were coming on the podcast, sorry, I was actually, I was kind of picking a fight online with someone who was commenting vile things on an image. I think his name is Jonathan from Queer Eye. Just vile things, and I don't know, when I see something like that, I find it very hard to not comment in a nice way, a very educational way. But it still amazes me just how much it triggers people. And why I just don't understand why you can't just like let people live how they want to live. I just don't get it. Yeah, I maybe have this conversation in my head every day, it would seem, these days. So yeah. Anyway, do you do that? Are you bad for that?
Yeah, I think
online?
Sadly that is just like. I think I definitely step away from it because it's just not good for my mental health. I was definitely at a place where every time I kind of saw or like looked into shoots and they had straight couples pretending to be lesbians or women loving women, they were just like not like I would try and like talk to them about it, try and help them. Like I think if anything, like if any kind of person comes to you and says, actually, it should have been done like this isn't good because of A, B, and C, I think it's just really important to listen to them and like be like, okay, well, they've taken their time. And I always came from wanting to educate, for wanting them to learn, and to people for not just to see that. But people are just so defensive, and especially when they're full of hate, it's kind of different when it's just like they've done something wrong as such. But when they're full of hate like that, but also the rhetoric of the like just anti-transness here in the States, everywhere at the moment, it's just like that's feeding into maybe people have a negative thought, and like what we're hearing, what we're seeing all the time, it's just feeding into that. So then people are like, okay, well, I'm going to spread the hate because I can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So, in wrapping up, do you have any book recommendations or even like TV shows or movies that would either inspire our listeners or educate them?
Oh my gosh, this is such a good question that I do not know. I think on a like really kind of easy level, like It's a Sin is a great kind of like drama about HIV. So I think I loved it. I thought it was great. It's got Ollie Alexander in, and you just feel like you're watching it rather than learning. So I think things like that are great. Babe, do you know any TV programs that are good there? Heartstopper. Yeah, these are like maybe not the most educational, but I think it's really important for people to see, to digest, and that's where they will learn the most. So again, watching Heartstopper, and Heartstopper covers so many like aromantic, asexual, trans, and obviously gay people. So like it's such an easy watch, and you're just digesting it so easily. It's not like you're like, okay, I'm going to go out and learn. But I think having more queer representative everything, like it's so easy to then just digest, and you're doing it without really thinking that you're learning, but you're going to be learning.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
It's a Sin is on Channel 4 network, and Heartstoppers is Netflix, just in case anyone wants to find them. I believe. I hope that information is still relevant, and I've got that right. What's next for you, Steph?
Yeah.
Do you have any workshops, or obviously your podcast is still on hiatus? Will it be coming back?
So hopefully the podcast, I would love the podcast to come back. Ours is definitely audio technician when it comes to the podcast, and they oversee and are really involved with the editing. So I think it will depend somewhat on their like wedding editing kind of backlog there, but I would love to see it come back. So yeah, absolutely, we will share that if it absolutely does. Workshops, I've got one in April at the Draft Shed, which is very close to being sold out, so that's exciting. And just onwards with weddings. Like weddings are going to be, I've got a lot of weddings this year, so I'm excited for it. But also just trying to prep in my downtime when I can. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited.
You hinted that you might be bringing the workshop up to Scotland at some point. Is that just a dream at the moment, or is there plans afoot?
So I have got a venue. It's kind of on the border of Scotland, and I've got a date. But the workshop is very much a passion project for me. I don't like monetary wise. I don't earn money from it. It's just kind of a passion of me wanting to share kind of how to like navigate your business better and be more inclusive. So, I basically do one at a time. I get my head around that one, and then I kind of go to the next one. So after April's is done, I'll be able to kind of think a little bit more and start planning properly and kind of go from there. But yeah, I'm excited. We've done lots of different venues. But yeah, this one looks great, and I think it will. I'm excited to be somewhere like completely different as well.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah. Keep an eye out for that then.
Absolutely. I know I will be. Where can people find your work online? Where do you want to send them if they want more of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Stephanie Dreams Photography is the Instagram page. Stephanie Dreams Photography is the website if you want to have a look on there. And TikTok is Steph Dreams Tog. Stephanie, I don't even know. I don't even know my TikTok handle.
Stephanie Dreams.
Wait, I think I've
Stephanie
got it.
Dreams Tog.
Photographer.
Oh, that's so cringy. But also, if you want to learn more, if you want to do better inclusivity wise, then the workshop Instagram page is loveforall_LGBTQ. So you can see when the next workshops are going to be there, and I try and kind of repost useful, helpful, knowledgeable stuff too.
Nice. Yes. Yes. Stephanie Dreams Tog is your TikTok. or as my dyslexic mind first read it, Stephanie Dreams Stog. Stog. Because I'm a fool. Anyway, Stephanie, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Yeah, sorry about the delay. If we seemed like we were interrupting you, or it'll be interesting to see how this edits.
Yeah,
I'll need to have a look at that. So, listeners, I do apologize if there's any technical pauses or whatever, but I'm gonna leave them in so that you know that technical things can go wrong. And the world's not gonna burn. It'll burn for other reasons. Anyway, people can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com. Our Instagram, our YouTube is at perspectivebycinemate. Thank you very much to With Jack for sponsoring another episode of this podcast. Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. However,
in the meantime,
enjoy your life.